Okay, welcome to a new episode of Nate's MMA Corner. I am Nate, and if you watch my show, you're in my corner. Today's episode is a post-fight show for UFC Fight Night, Mir versus Duffee, which I was at in attendance, cage side, 5th row. Oh, man, and amazing fights top to bottom. Yeah, I got to meet a lot of fighters and hang out with people, and it was just a lot of fun. Let me show you some of the pictures. Yeah, here's me and Scott Jorgensen. Whoa, stun gun, Scott Jorgensen. Oh, or not stun gun, but well, you know what I mean. Yeah, then here's whoa. Here's me and Gunnar Nelson. Oh man, yeah. Nordic Pride, bro, yeah. Okay, then, me and, Tony Elkakui Ferguson. Yeah, good job, Tony. And then, here's, me and, Joanna Jacek. And let's see here. Oh yeah, me and Dan Henderson. Yeah, Dan Henderson, cool guy. Yeah, finally got to meet him. I mean, he only lives about an hour away from me. I'm surprised it took me this long for me to meet him over the years. But yeah, it seems like I met everyone else but him until now, you know. But yeah, Dan Henderson was cool. The fights were cool. The UFC, once again, treated me very well. And yeah, you guys are awesome. Keep up the good work over at the UFC. I met Dave Scholler. I met Joe Silva again. And ran into my good buddy Kenny Johnson, who's the wrestling coach for the heavyweight champ Fabricio Verdum. Yeah, so this is a post-fight show for Mir versus Duffee, the main card. So let's get started with, let's kick off this show with, the first main card match on the main card. Yeah, welterweight clash with Alan Jouban and Matt Dwyer. I actually hung out with Matt Dwyer's camp the night before the fight. I ran into him around town. I just had a brief conversation with him, and they were really nice. I told him, I said, you know, my guy is Alan Jouban, you know, he wrestles... gets wrestling tips from Kenny Johnson and coaching from Johnson, so I got to root for Jouban. Nothing against you guys, and they were cool. And you know, I like Matt Dwyer too. And yeah, I predicted Alan Jouban to win by knockout here. He ended up putting on a striking clinic and looked great. And Matt Dwyer had some good clean shots too. This was a pretty good kickboxing match, is what it turned out to, which kind of surprised me. Yeah, Alan Jouban won by unanimous. Yeah, it was a unanimous decision because he got docked 1 point in, I believe it was the second round, when Dwyer was on the ground technically, and then Jouban landed, I believe, a knee to the head, and so the ref docked him 1 point, but he still won the fight, and it was an honest mistake on Alan Jouban's part. I'm sure he didn't mean it. Yeah, that was a great fight. Alan Jouban won. It looks like, yeah, it was 29-27 across the board, unanimous decision. Then, also on the main card in the lightweight division, we had a bout with Kevin Lee and James Moontasri. Yeah, James Moontasri I knew would just get outpaced with Kevin Lee. Kevin Lee kept pushing the pace. And what surprised me, yeah, Kevin Lee, I wasn't shocked that he got the ground game advantage over James Moontasri, who James is known as a Taekwondo expert and Kevin Lee is known as a wrestler. But what did surprise me is Kevin Lee finished James Moontasri. I thought he would lay on top of him for 3 5-minute rounds, crowd would boo, he would get a unanimous decision victory, move up the rankings that much, and everyone would be like, yeah, he'll live to see another day, yada yada yada. But that wasn't impressive. But it was impressive because Kevin Lee got submission rear naked choke just midway past the first half of the first round, Yeah, it was 2 minutes 56 seconds into the first round. Kevin Lee works the ground game and sinks in a choke and gets rear naked choke round one, which shocked a lot of people. And good job, Kevin Lee. He's on a good, healthy win streak in the UFC right now, making a name for himself now. That was the most impressive win of his UFC career thus far, because the rest have been, he's been a lot of decisions, and this one was a good, healthy finish to get his name out there. Yeah, Kevin's a talented fighter. It's just a matter of will he be an exciting fighter, and I think this proved that he can be an exciting fighter. So good job, Kevin Lee. Then also on the main card in the bantamweight division, we had a clash of the ages with Manny Gambarian and Scott Jorgensen, and yeah, I picked Manny Gambarian to win. I thought he was going to win by submission, first or second round. Due to his judo skills, he'd get some judo throws, dominate on the ground, and eventually work in a choke. But what shocked me about this match, Scott Jorgensen looked vastly improved on the ground. He kept getting out of chokes, and he kept rolling out of stuff, and really was good defensively, but not. He didn't have any offense. He was just good at defending submissions and defending attacks, but he was outpaced in this fight and outclassed on pretty much everywhere the fight went, which I kind of figured. I mean, not to take anything away from Scott Jorgensen, he was great in WEC, but yeah, I hope that he gets better in his MMA game, and if he wants to retire, that's understandable, but if not, I hope he gets better and wins the next one, whether it's in the UFC or elsewhere. So whatever he decides, he's one of my favorite fighters. I support him. But yeah, Manny Gambarian, he's looking good right now in bantamweight division, and yeah, he won a clean 30-27 unanimous decision victory. No one's going to argue with that victory. Good job, Manny Gambarian. He's fought at 3 weight classes now: lightweight, featherweight, and bantamweight. I remember him all the way back at UFC 87 to think, wow, he's been fighting for this long under the UFC banner. And I remember UFC 87, that fight was a fluke with Manny. I mean, Rob Emerson got lucky against him, but Rob Emerson, not taking anything away from him, he's talented too, but Manny Gambarian, just a judo master, and he's had some impressive performances in the octagon throughout his career thus far, and I can't wait to see more of Manny Gambarian and see where he goes from here. Then also on the main card in the women's bantamweight division, we had Holly Holm versus Marion Reneau. This fight really shocked me because I picked Marion Reneau to win this fight. I thought she was going to push the pace and get the ground game going, and then work in some submission and possibly get it, and if anything, win by unanimous decision, which I figured that would be my number one go-to choice. Is Marion Reneau gets dominant positions on the ground, thus wins a unanimous decision victory, 30-27. But that didn't happen. She kept it standing, and she tried to outstrike Holly Holm. And Holly Holm found her range early on and put on a kickboxing clinic. And Marion Reneau threw some good kicks too. Marion Reneau, she showed that she can hang on her own with the stand-up. But Holly Holm was just, the better fighter that night, and I think Marion Reneau will make a comeback in her next fight. I mean, it wasn't like she was fighting for a UFC career here. I mean, she's 2-1. This is only her first loss in the UFC, so I think we'll see. I think Marion Reneau will look back at the tapes and see what she did wrong and improve and get better. And Holly Holm looked better in this fight. Her kickboxing looked more explosive, and she felt more comfortable in this fight than the Raquel Pennington fight. Yeah, so Holly Holm, I think, definitely deserves a top 10 ranked opponent in the top, say, 7 or 8 spots, in the top 10, for opponents. And I think Holly Holm's maybe 2 wins away from a title shot now. She's looking better, and I'm a Holly Holm fan and a Marion Reneau fan, so this one was hard to watch because someone had to win, someone had to lose. Yeah, then Holly Holm won by unanimous decision, 30-27. Yeah, then actually one judge had it 30-26, and another judge had it 29-28. So yeah, it was a pretty good, clean win for Holly Holm here to showcase her striking and get a good, clean win here. Yeah, then in the co-main event, in the lightweight division, we had Tony El Cucuy Ferguson versus Josh the Punk Thompson, a Team Lesnar guy from Ultimate Fighter Season 13, who won the show, versus AKA guy where Cain Velasquez trains, in Josh Thompson. And oh boy, this fight was a barn burner through and through. This fight, definitely I think was possibly fight of the night. And yeah, Tony got a performance bonus on this fight. Yeah, it looked pretty darn good. He did some rolls on the ground to get back in position to find his range, which I thought was creative and unpredictable. And then he put on a good striking clinic and kept getting Josh Thompson against the cage. And yeah, I thought Josh Thompson was out on certain periods, and Tony Ferguson, I was worried about his cardio going into that third round, but he was still able to hold his own, and he looked pretty good. And Tony Ferguson got some good takedowns and landed some good ground strikes and good boxing clinic in the stand-up, and yeah, just really impressive press with Tony Ferguson. Yeah, great fight, one of the best fights I've ever seen in my whole life. Tony Ferguson is the man. I feel bad for the lightweight division right now. They got a lot to worry about with Tony Ferguson right now, and it's like you look back at Tony's fights a couple fights ago. He told Anthony Pettis that, hey, be careful, I'm coming for that belt. That's back when Anthony was champion. And now we got Rafael dos Anjos as champion, and Tony Ferguson stylistically could stand a good chance against Rafael dos Anjos. I also like Rafael dos Anjos, don't get me wrong, but Tony Ferguson, he knows how to use height, he knows how to use reach, he is unpredictable, and I think this guy is the real deal. And also 9-1, I mean, at that point you got to say the guy is the real deal. Yeah, so he's come a long way from winning season 13 of The Ultimate Fighter, and statistically speaking, the first 10 fights of any Ultimate Fighter winner, he is the most successful in terms of win-loss record. So good job, Tony Ferguson. And again, here is my picture with Tony Ferguson. Oh man, good job. Okay, then we move on to the main event, which is a heavyweight clash with Frank Mir versus Todd Duffee. Wow, this fight was quick. It was a minute and 13 seconds. Who would have guessed that Frank Mir would knock out Todd Duffee, not the other way around? But then again, Todd Duffee's one of those guys, you either knock him out or he knocks you out. And Todd Duffee, in this case, he got knocked out. He almost knocked out Frank Mir. It looked like Frank Mir was dazed and confused, and I ain't talking about the movie. And then Todd Duffee left himself open in the center of the octagon and got cut by a good clean shot by Frank Mir. And that one shot, I saw Todd Duffee just drop. And yeah, it was officially KO punch round 1. And yeah, it was a minute and 13 seconds. It was pretty much a back and forth stand-up war. Todd Duffee looked good at first, and then Frank Mir looked good, and then Todd Duffee looked good, and then Frank Mir looked good, and then finished, and that was the fight. It was a stand-up war. It was pretty much a boxing match, and it was pretty impressive. It's one of the greatest heavyweight fights I've seen in a while. Well, it's one of the greatest heavyweight fights I've seen. I mean, because all the heavyweight fights are amazing. But of course, I'm a little disappointed. I wish Todd Duffee won, but congrats to Frank Mir. He did a good job and got a good, clean win, and moves up the rankings, and I would say he's a couple fights away from a title shot, but I think when he gets to the top 5, has to fight the top 5 ranked guys, that'll be the real test. So we'll see how he does there. And that wraps up my post-fight show for UFC. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. UFC Fight Night, Mir versus Duffee. Stay tuned for my next episode, which will be a pre-fight show for Bisping versus Ladies middleweight clash. Until then, see ya.